Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited today to have Michael Modzelewski with me. Is that right?
You said it perfect.
Yes. We got to meet Michael on our previous Alaskan cruise, and he was so kind that actually he was supposed to be with us on the one that we're doing in 2022, but he got upgraded to the Discovery Princess. So he's now going to share with you some of the things that he would have been sharing on the cruise, but you're going to get it from him personally. So think of it this way: you're getting Michael personally speaking to you about this upcoming cruise. So, Michael, take it away. Let's talk a little bit about what this cruise is going to be about and some things that we need to wear, how to pack from your experience. So, take it away, Michael.
First of all, Kim, thank you for inviting me. It's an honor. Hi, Dave. How are you? And I've worked with Princess as a naturalist for close to 18 years. And half of that time, I've done this itinerary that you guys are doing out of Seattle, the Saturday departure. So I'm somewhat familiar with it, consecutive spring and summer being up there year after year for about 9 years in a row now. So when people ask me, they say, and the season starts in May or late April and it goes till about mid-September. And that's 19, 20 cruises in a row. And a lot of times passengers will say, if you had to pick 1 week to come to Alaska, which is your favorite week or the best week to come? No kidding. September 3rd to the 10th, the cruise that you guys are doing. And the reason why is I have a nickname for it. I call it the peak week, because in early September, that's when the salmon are pouring into all the streams. And when the salmon are running, all the wildlife's out for one big buffet before the bears go and hibernate, before the whales, humpback whales leave Alaskan waters to go down to Hawaii. So I'm so excited that you guys are coming at the perfect time. And one of the great highlights about coming that time as well is the northern lights are starting to rev up. And a lot of times people say, well, how could it be the first week in September? Well, autumn or fall in Alaska only lasts about 10 days. And then it can snow at sea level at the end of September. So the northern lights, we get darkness early. When you leave the ports in Juneau, Skagway, it'll be pitch black, at 8, 9, 10 o'clock. So the two things you need is you need early darkness and you need a crystal clear sky. And normally in early September, we get Indian summer, where we get amazing sunny, clear weather. So what you want to do specifically on the ship is when it's dark, pop outside on your balcony or on any outer deck, check the sky. If you can see the stars shining, that's telling you it's worth staying up, that the sky is clear. And then what you want to do, you could go out on your balcony, for instance, turn the lights out in your cabin behind you and look north, which is the two best nights would be leaving Juneau. And then even better would be leaving Skagway, because we're so far north, 1,000 miles above Seattle, pulling out of Skagway. And the third night, a little bit diminished, but worth a shot, is coming out of Glacier Bay and going toward Ketchikan. So if you can see those stars on your balcony, lights out behind you, look north, which is usually toward the stern or the back of the ship. If you don't have a balcony, go to the highest deck you can find. It might be called the sky deck, where your head is literally in the sky. Go to the stern or the back of the ship, and usually about 10:30, if that sky is clear, a neon green starts to flicker above the mountaintops that are on both sides of the ship in the inside passage. And then if the northern lights are coming full on, strawberry pink, lavender.
Oh.
I mean, it's usually like 10:30, 11 till about 4 a.m. That's the window. So I'm so excited you're coming in September, because there's a shot at seeing northern lights. So to back it up a little bit, if we start at the beginning, the ship's going to leave Seattle at around 4 p.m., depending on all, getting everybody aboard and all the connections. Captain usually pulls the anchor around then. you got to see the sail away and take pictures, because the Seattle skyline will constantly shift as the ship is maneuvering. You'll get different views of the Space Needle, everything downtown. And all you got to do is do a different click on your camera each time the ship swerves or swings, because you get a different perspective. And if it's a clear day living Seattle, it's going to look like a massive cloud on the horizon. Mount Rainier. Unbelievable. Zoom in a little bit, and I've heard they had a lot of snow so far this winter. So Rainier should just be, pure white and blanketed. So don't miss the sail away. And my favorite place to be is on the stern or the back end of the ship, because you're not obstructed. You've got that clear 180-degree view of Seattle and the skyline. So usually then go in, back to your cabin, go have dinner. And then the best thing to do, walk the promenade deck on deck 7, either side of the ship, right when it's getting dark. And what you do on deck 7 is you come forward and there's stairs. Go up the stairs either side. There's a wraparound deck that encases the bow of the ship. And you also have a roof over your head in case it's drizzling. But that is a great place to photograph these amazing sunsets at Puget Sound. And last summer, even though it was abbreviated, we only did half the season. Every time we left Seattle, we just got this blazer that lasted like for 2 hours. And then, of course, everything you're going to see this week, whether it's northern lights or sunsets, it's going to be doubled, because you're going to have the colors mirrored in the water. So I call that the secret sweet spot. The tip of the ship is deck 7 forward, up the stairs, hang out as much as you can. Bird watchers that come from all over the world set up their spotting scopes up there. Everybody's serious about photography is up on, I call it deck 8 or 7.5. And then if you get into whales, which we'll mention in a little bit, you're only 80 feet above the water. So a whale is going to look like a whale or a dolphin. One thing to keep in mind, just a generality about photography, the higher up on the ship you are, the smaller everything looks down below, unless you have a big zoom. But the trouble with a big zoom is then you got to be absolutely still. So there's trade-offs to that. But that deck 7.5 or deck 8 on the wraparound bow, if people really want to get pictures of wildlife, schools of dolphins flashing by, that's a really good place to hang out. But don't miss the sunsets. Puget Sound, usually about 7:30, 8 o'clock, I would be up front on the bow of the ship. And should we talk about dressing or?
Yeah, let's, because what you're talking about, Michael, I remember that I was out there every night because the colors are so magnificent on those sunsets and a sunrise as well. Just incredible. And you want to be paying attention. It's just like you talked about that wildlife. I mean, I was sitting at the dining hall on our last day as we're cruising back from Ketchikan, and I'm eating right by the window because I always like to look out. And here goes what I think you call them a pod of orcas.
A pod is just means a family group.
Yeah. And there was there was 4 that we could see. And I believe it was the same 4, but they would just come up and go down and come up and go down. It's like they were following the ship as we were leaving to say goodbye.
Right. And it happens so often. So I always tell people, you can sleep when you're dead. Stay up 24 hours times 7 days, because you're going to maybe see northern lights at night, and you don't want to miss a sunrise. You don't want to miss a sunset. So fire up their espresso machine or bring a portable one on your balcony.
That's so true. It is so true. But yeah, let's talk about clothes, because we didn't know. I mean, when we went last year, we had no clue. So I packed this extremely large suitcase. We carried all of these cold weather clothes. And I will be honest, every time we got off the ship, it was raining when we were on the ship. When we got off the ship, it stopped raining. So then we were too warm. So let's talk about what we should be wearing.
Well, the thing about Alaska is very tricky because the weather is variable. to say the least. In fact, I tell people you can get 4 seasons in just one day. And if you're going to take tours, if you're going to helicopter up onto the glaciers, in Juneau, if you're going to take the tram up to Mount Roberts, highly recommended.
Mhm.
Okay, so you're on the ship, you turn on the television or you look at the Princess Pattern and it gives you the temperature, high and low, but that's the reading at sea level. So if you're going to go up the tram, you're going to be 2,000 feet up altitude when you get off the tram. If you take a helicopter to the big ice, the glacier, you could be 4,000 feet up, surrounded by, white, blue ice. So the best thing to do to adjust to the microclimates and the temperature changes, sea level, altitude, or rain in the morning and then sun in the afternoon, like you were saying, is to layer up. So in Alaska, it's better, instead of wearing just like one big heavy coat, is to start with a t-shirt, have a sweatshirt or a sweater, and then stash in your purse or backpack a rain slicker or a heavier, maybe like a inside has pile for warmth and the outer layer is nylon. That's a great jacket up there. And the weird thing is we're like candles with the wick exposed. 75% of our body heat goes out of our heads. So if anybody has cold feet during the week, put on a cap and it will hold in your body heat. So throw a hat, even if you're not a hat person, throw like a stocking cap or at least a baseball cap into a pack, and that warms up your feet by capping off your head, But there's that great saying, it's better to have and not need than to need and not have.
So true.
So if you have, at least 2 layers on and then carry that third with you for added protection. In fact, also there's another saying, there's no such thing as bad weather in Alaska, only bad clothing.
True. True. And it was beautiful. I mean, our entire time there, I couldn't complain. We had some of the most beautiful weather. It may have been cloudy, but it really didn't rain. And even if it did, it was just so light that it wasn't even, I mean, I always tell people sugar melts, so look out because I don't want to be a puddle on the ground. But
sugar melts. I got to remember that one.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
It is. And I love it. But, we had the best time. So, so as now we've left Seattle, we know what we're packing and we know what we're wearing. We're on the ship on Sunday. And it's cruising day because we're headed to our first stop, which is going to be Juneau, and we're going to talk about that in the next segment. What should we be doing?
Well, my fellow compatriot, each Princess ship that goes to Alaska will have a naturalist aboard. And their first program is the first sea day. And then, besides just a naturalist, Chris Nicholson, my boss at Princess, created this award-winning program about 5-6 years ago called North to Alaska. And they also bring another guest speaker on to do just one show, whereas your naturalist will live aboard and will be with you the whole week. The North to Alaska special guest speaker will come on for that first sea day to also give an illustrated presentation. They can be Deadliest Catch, Discovery Channel TV show fishermen. They can be Alaska authors. One of my favorites is Susan Conrad, a woman who paddled solo 1,200 miles in a kayak from Seattle all the way to Skagway by herself.
Wow.
Susan comes on and her program is just mind-blowing. And, a lot of people think Alaska's for, macho men. But it's so nice to get a perspective from a woman like Susan. And I'm convinced women are tougher than men. Men had babies, there'd be one baby born, they'd be illegal. I think
I've always said that.
Women can carry pain through time better than men. Men are good at short things and then they move on. But Susan, Libby Riddle's the first woman to win the sled dog race in Alaska. She's been a Princess mainstay. So it's a good balance with that North to Alaska program. Also, one thing that your guests might want to consider, bring binoculars, because Alaska is so big and expansive and you can see so far with the human eye, but you want to pull in those eagles in the treetops. You want to, see the whale's eye as they're coming by or breaching right next to your dining room window. So I would recommend for that sea day, if you are walking around the ship or outside on the promenade deck, beside your camera, maybe you don't have to get an expensive pair either. For $50, it can give you a good pair of binoculars. But besides the layering, I would say throw a pair of binoculars in your suitcase as well. So Sunday, I like to say it's the day where you become acquainted with the ship. You find your way around. You attend the lectures during the daytime, the illustrated programs that are going to get you jazzed up about what's ahead, what you're going to see. And it's a perfect kind of way the itinerary unfolds, because you get that first sea day to unpack, learn your way around. 2 ports are coming. Then you might be tired after running around for 2 days. Then you sit back and watch Glacier Bay without getting off the ship. So, it's a good way to kind of explore and feel your way around on that Sunday.
Well, that sounds great. That's how we met you. And that was such a true blessing. My husband said, let's go hear about Alaska, because we had never gone. And who walks out on the stage but you, and told your amazing stories. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's why I wanted you on The Crown. And you were for a moment, and then you got moved. And I'm so blessed that you got that great, I want to say, promotion, because now you're on a bigger ship going different places and you get to share your stories, because I think that's amazing. The one thing that we learned a lot from you on was, and I hope that your colleague, whoever's going to be on The Crown, is going to do the same thing, but you really taught us about the bridge cam. Talk a little bit about that for me.
Oh, there's sort of a secret spy that you can use on the ship. Is when you get into your room, even when you're leaving Seattle on Saturday afternoon and evening, is a good time to put it in action. Is you turn your television set, and now everything, instead of channels with Princess, it's a big upgrade. It's like opening apps, just like we're all used to on our phones, our computers. So what you want to do is you want to find the Bridge Cam or Camera, Bridge Camera app. Open that up while you're in your while you're in your cabin, unpacking, fiddling around. Pump the volume a little bit, because the bridge cam is going to give you a 180-degree view ahead of the bow, constantly, 24/7. And it also gives you our location in real time. It updates that. It gives you all the statistics of weather, wave height. So if you're a real junkie on, stats and all that, you'll be fed through that bridge cam. But the great thing is you can use it as a spy ahead. Am I missing anything outside? Being in my cabin? Well, there's your outlook, is the bridge cam. And if you start to see some color filling your television screen, jacket, camera, sunset time for pictures. So I constantly have that on when I'm in my cabin. And then if there are any whales that show up unexpectedly, one of the officers on the bridge will announce that, and the announcements always come from the bridge through the bridge cam to all the cabins. So that way you're ahead of the game, not only with a visual spy, but you're monitoring, any audio announcements about wildlife as well. So that's a great thing to use as a tool that not many people know about.
No, we didn't. And that's when you announced it and you said, I'm going to be up there at this time, and I'm going to be out there looking for you, and I'm going to tell you. And what I also liked is you told us which deck to go to, whether it was, forward or aft, and bow or stern, and where to get the best view. And that, I think, is extremely important once you understand the ship. So that's how you should spend Sunday, is understanding which way is forward and which way is aft, so that you're not all turned around.
And everybody has to have a first time.
Right.
And we get a lot of first time cruisers that come on, and it's hard to remember port from starboard. So a little trick I use in my mind is the word port and left both have 4 letters.
Oh,
So that's how I stick it in my mind. Okay, in case you're getting mixed up between those 2 words, port, left, 4 letters, and then starboard is the other side, the right side. But a funny thing happened last summer. I think it was about the 3rd cruise in. We had a lady come aboard, and you're overwhelmed if you've never taken a cruise before. The size of the ship, the opulence, trying to navigate those long hallways that are like 200 yards long. And she went up to one of the employees and said, "Is our cabin showing, her card and everything? Is our cabin on the port or the Starbucks side?"
I guess that's
In
one
fact,
way.
I tell everybody that joke, when I'm doing my narration for the bridge, and I go, "Hey guys, Seattle is, it's Starbucks headquarters. That's where that little tiny shop where this huge mega business grew out of that hole in the wall. Why don't we get them we'll rename Starboard Starbucks if they give free espresso to everybody, It's great.
Well, it's true though. We had to learn. The cool thing about where we were staying was that the carpet was different, the color.
Right.
And so when I get off the elevator, I get lost crossing the street. So Dave was always telling me, okay, you're going to get off and you're going to go left. Well, as soon as he said, if you notice, our side is blue, the other side is red. So go toward the blue. And that was how we knew.
And when you first come on and we leave, Puget Sound is very protected. And then we get a little bit of open ocean on that Sunday, sea day. And then we're in that inside passage where the waves are buffeted down by the islands and the mountains. And sometimes you don't even feel that we're moving.
I
In
know.
fact, we who work on the ship, we joke. I mean, it's so beautiful and big, and but we call it a floatel. It's a hotel that floats.
Yeah.
So, and all the seasoned travelers do this as well. If you want to know which direction, if your cabin's in the stern or the front, look out a window to see which way the water's moving. Because sometimes the ship, it doesn't seem like we're just so smoothly moving along. So if your cabin's in the back or if it's in the front, look out the window, and the way the water's moving will tell you which way to walk.
That's so true. But that brings up another good point. I've never had seasickness or anything like that. I really do like it when we're in the open ocean, and I like the waves because it helps me sleep. But what if somebody isn't they don't know, right? They've never been on a ship, they've never been on a boat or a cruise, so they have no idea what it's like to be on the water. So talk a little bit about that and maybe some tips.
Well, that first sea day, it actually happens the first night because we leave Puget Sound and we enter. And again, you can find this on the bridge cam, the actual map. And then we go through a strait called Juan de Fuca that takes us to the open ocean. So if there is any kind of wave action or a storm, you'll start to feel it about 11 p.m. or 12 midnight that first Saturday night. And then the motion, which, as you said, it's like being in a cradle.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's like a lot of the times. Nothing real drastic where the ship is bouncing up and down, but it's just sort of swinging gently. It's amazing to sleep that way. You're really a baby again being rocked in the cradle, But the best thing to do, I have found, is the herb ginger. And usually they serve sushi up in the buffet, which is now, served for us, is eat some ginger that first day. Everybody has different tricks where they put the Dramamine patch on their side or whatever. But if you just relax and pretend like you're riding a horse and just sort of, roll with a little bit of the motion, if it does kick up.
Wow. Well, this has been really great. I'm glad you gave us a nice introduction to what we can expect in the beginning. I'm going to wrap it up for here because our next segment, we're going to start talking about the different ports, some fun things to do, and you're going to share your experiences with that. So I want to stop us right here. And then next time you see us, we're going to be talking about our first stop, which is Juneau, which is the capital of Alaska. which I
Yay.
was learning. I know, and it's an amazing city. So we're going to get to talk about that. So hang tight. Michael's going to join us again, and you're going to spend some great time with him over the next few segments. So just stick around because we're going to be right back.